Please stay tuned to order. To order, call toll-free 1-800-257-1257 to save all COD charges and pay only $19.98 for records or cassettes or $24.98 for CDs, plus $4 shipping. Use your credit card or send check or money order to Slow Dancing, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia. Remember, save COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
Denying the elderly and disabled Medicare payments they may be owed. Congress looks into charges of routine rejection of legitimate claims. And the first U.S. case of a child suing a parent for independence. It's about to go to court. Welcome to NewsHour. I'm Reid Collins. Bobby Batista's off this week. It's never happened before in the United States anyway, a child going to court seeking to end his mother's parental rights. And as CNN's Charles Jaco reports, this tangled case involves not only one family, but the entire issue of children's rights and even the current presidential campaign.
The 12-year-old boy hiding his face is known only as Gregory K. He's suing his mother for termination of parental rights. And the case starts Thursday in Orlando, Florida, and has ignited a firestorm.
Didn't expect it at all. And I was very hurt, of course, and confused, and I didn't even ever imagine that it would go this far.
In the past 8 years, Gregory has spent just a few months with his mother. He's been in and out of foster homes and wants to be adopted by his current foster parents. His mother wants him back. Gregory does not want to go, so he's suing.
The wonderful thing about the case is that it is raising people's level of consciousness about children and the fact that they're human beings, that they're not property, something to be possessed or owned.
Courts have already ruled Gregory does have the legal standing to sue, a position some think is absurd.
At this point, should a child have the right to vote? Should a child be able to drink when he or she feels? Should a child be able to do a lot of other things? If we give them standing, then we should give them all the responsibilities of an adult.
What we're talking about promotes family values because we're saying he should have permanency. He should have a mother and father, the adoptive mother and father that want to give him a good home.
Family values are the buzzwords this election year. The Republicans have torn into the Democrats generally and Hillary Clinton specifically on the issue. In 1979, Hillary Clinton wrote, "A competent child should be able to assert his or her own interests." This point of view has been affirmed by several court rulings, starting in 1967 when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled suspected criminals under age 18 have the same right to lawyers as adults. But those legal theories are entangled now with a mother who wants her son back.
You know, there's a saying that time heals all wounds, and if a child is not returned to me, it'll be like an open wound in my heart.
And then there's the son who wants no part of the mother he's barely known and wants to start a new life in a new place and is using the courts to do it. Charles Jaco, CNN, Miami.
CNN is planning to bring you live coverage of the Gregory K. parental rights trial beginning tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. Allegations today that the Bush administration intentionally denies or underpays legitimate Medicare claims filed by millions of sick and elderly Americans. Congressional critics call this a backdoor attempt to cut the costs, cuts the White House has been unable to achieve through direct legislation. On Capitol Hill this morning, there was testimony about claims rejections and the appeals process, described by one witness as bewildering.
I defy anybody to make sense of some of this stuff. It is not written in English, it's written in officialese. And there's reams and reams and reams of paper, and I submit to you, Mr. Chairman, that what this is all about, should be all about, is not paper but people. And that's what it's not at this moment.
One study suggests the paperwork overwhelms most. Only 2% do proceed with the appellate process. However, 65% of them who do persevere wind up winning their appeals. Aging is more and more on the minds of millions of people who bear that label baby boomer, and ways to counter the visible effects of aging as well. CNN's Cheryl Atkinson continues our series, Coming of Age.
It's tough what we go through, isn't it?
You're looking at people under pressure.
Everybody wants to look younger.
Pressure to look young.
If I stay the son, I can inherit what they have.
Right. They just look older than their years. Oh, God.
My grandma lived till she was 93.
Pressure in a youth-oriented society.
I'm not Shirley Temple.
What age to you is getting really, really old?
30.
My mom's 30 and I don't think she's old, so I'll say 50.
This was my 85th birthday.
We may not agree on what old is.
75.
But we know it when we feel it.
Me, I'm old.
How old are you?
I'm 78 years old, and that's old.
And we start feeling the pressure early in the United States, as early as 26 years old, if you happen to be going gray.
I started going gray when I was 19, and I liked it a lot. But now that I'm closer to 30, I think that it's working against me a little bit. So now I'm here to color my hair for the first time.
People come to Hiroshi's beauty salon in Beverly Hills with great expectations. What do they expect you to do?
Well, mostly people are looking for something to happen, a miracle, magic. But it's always I tell them, I'm not a magician. I do, best that I can.
We'll show you the magic Hiroshi worked on Cheryl Stanley's gray in a few minutes. First, we want you to meet somebody else at Hiroshi's, someone who helps her clients fight the cosmetic signs of aging by giving them a new cut or style, who took more drastic measures to fight signs of aging on her own face. Her name is Kathy Saray. Saray grew up in Hungary. Somewhere along the way to adulthood, her self-image suffered. By the time she turned 51, she couldn't stand the face looking back in the mirror.
I knew my face was actually hanging. I hated it.
Here's Saray just before plastic surgery. But 10 weeks later,
I feel wonderful. I get up in the morning and when I'm looking at myself, I see a different person, like a different person. And somehow I feel more creative, too, because I know I look better.
Meet the man responsible for her new face. Dr. Walter Berman has fixed faces and egos for 25 years.
People come for cosmetic surgery for psychological reasons.
Even he feels the pressure. Even he's considered plastic surgery.
Oh, sure I have. Every time I look in the mirror in the morning. First, I'm a little aghast. But of course I have. And I've talked to somebody about doing my eyelids. And I probably will, because I think it's a good thing. Whatever makes you happy is important.
What makes millions of people happy is looking young. But that becomes more difficult the older we get, and we all are getting older. The preoccupation with youth hit a peak in the 60s when the baby boomers began to make their imprint on society. They were all under 25 back then. They didn't trust the older generation, which they blamed for Vietnam and other problems of the day. Now that same generation that spawned a distrust for anyone over 30 is fast approaching old age itself, facing stereotypes of its own creation. As America ages, as the baby boomers grow older, will they be a group of older people trying to look young, or will they resist that pressure and instead redefine what is attractive and acceptable?
It's much easier to look in a mirror that's 28 years old and has lots of blonde hair and is peppy, and the husband and wife have to educate each other and make each other comfortable with looking and feeling differently, but taking advantage of the incredible liberation that middle and older age can be.
Trying to change appearance instead of attitude is like looking for the end of a rainbow that doesn't exist, according to experts like Bernie Siegel.
We spend millions and billions probably on denying death, plastic surgery so you look younger, and a whole pills, medications. I think it's a very unhealthy aspect because everybody has to die. I mean, there's just no way around it. And so denying it doesn't work. Accept the fact that you're going to die someday, but let's live until that day.
How will the baby boomers handle growing old? Will they change the stereotypes they helped create 30 years ago? A question this man considers at age 45.
Perhaps the perceptions will change. There will be more of us
probably than any other time in the history of the country. I think that people will be basically activists. I don't think that we'll be living as the people did 50 years ago that were our age.
But for now, the pressure's on.
You'll feel better when your hair looks good.
And what does 26-year-old Cheryl Stanley think of her new, grayless, younger look?
Oh, I love it. It's great.
Cheryl Atkinson, CNN, Beverly Hills, California.
Well, Russian officials have revealed that 2 American prisoners are known to have died in the 1940s after serving long terms in Soviet camps. No first names are given, but the last names are listed as Oggins and Clifford. Oggins, described as a civilian, had been wrongfully arrested as a spy in 1939 during the Stalin regime, apparently was killed when his sentence was completed. Russian officials also say that 5 Americans in Poland in 1939 were put into prison camps, but these are now believed to be living voluntarily in freedom in some former Soviet republics. President Yeltsin is promising some more information in a full report to be issued next month. President Bush rejects that family leave bill. And ahead on NewsHour, what effect, if any, this may have on the campaign trail. Also coming up.
Early in the morning, I had my head up so high like this, smiling. I just felt so good. You just get a totally different feeling when you actually be out in the business world.
New York companies helping people work their way off welfare. And the playgrounds of Sarajevo turn into battlegrounds for some of the children.
All of these toilet bowl cleaners may clean, but not one of them disinfects. So you don't get your toilet totally clean unless you use Lysol toilet bowl cleaner. It easily reaches tough rust stains, and unlike those others, it disinfects for a deep down clean. Don't do part of the job. Get your toilet totally clean with Lysol toilet bowl cleaner.
Mice. For everyone you see, there may be 15 or 20 that you don't see, and they eat in many different places. A very unhealthy situation. But put Decon Mouseproof in the places mice feed, like behind the refrigerator, the cupboard, the washer, and you'll eliminate them faster. Decon Mouseproof gets mice right where they live.
On the surface, it's a perfect neighborhood. But beneath the surface, there could be trouble brewing in the septic system. Ask anyone who's had a backup. Better to maintain your system. That includes Rid-X once a month. Rid-X helps keep your system free-flowing. And regular maintenance, including Rid-X, helps prevent backup. Look beneath the surface. Use Rid-X once a month.
If you don't want your car or truck to be stolen, do what over 220,000 police officers from across the country suggest. Use the club. I'm Officer Jack Cleric, here to inform you about the device the National Fraternal Order of Police recommends you use to protect your vehicle against theft, the club. The club is an easy-to-use, tough-to-defeat, guaranteed anti-theft device used to protect your car or truck. The club attaches easily to the steering wheel and prevents your vehicle from being stolen.
Equally effective in preventing theft, the club is now available in 4 bright designer colors, each backed by the maker's $500 guarantee. I'm Officer Lisa Hale, asking you to select the original club or the new designer club, to make sure the anti-theft device you buy says the club on the handle.
When it comes to quality, guaranteed anti-theft protection for your car or truck, there's only one name you need to know, the club. Avoid cheap imitations. Ask for the club by name.
The Club, now available at most stores where auto supplies are sold.
Republican lawmakers now are pushing a new family leave bill to replace the one that President Bush vetoed yesterday. The vetoed legislation would have required businesses with 50 or more employees to provide workers with 12 weeks of unpaid leave every year for family medical reasons. Mr. Bush says this would hurt many businesses. The new Republican package would provide tax credits of as much as 20% of the total compensation for the businesses that voluntarily provide those 12 weeks leave.
And what we are suggesting in the introduction of this legislation that our president strongly supports is not only a stronger, more flexible package, it covers about 15 million more workers in this country, and it is recognizing that the best way to put a